Hey guys, so for this week's video, I'm going to show you how I care for my feeders. First, I'm going to talk about crickets. So here I have my cricket bin, and all you really need to keep your crickets in is some type of container that has a lid. And I just used this bin from Walmart that was a few dollars, and I just punched some holes in the top. And as you can see, I have some paper towels in here and some egg cartons. So for crickets, you just need some places for them to hide and climb. I like to use paper towel rolls and toilet paper rolls, and I also have some egg cartons. The most important thing is to make sure your bin is big enough for all your crickets and to make sure they have enough hiding places. The next thing you're going to need is something for your crickets to get water out of. They have things at like Petco and other pet stores that you can buy to hold water in for your crickets, but I find it much easier just to use any type of lid, and all you have to do is put a paper towel in it and just slightly fill it up with water just enough so the paper towel is damp, and this will prevent your crickets from getting in it and drowning. I also like to keep food on there because it's easily accessible for the crickets, but all you're going to have to do for this is re-wet the paper towel every day or two. So as far as the lid goes, if you're using a glass tank, then you can just put a screen on it, but I find the bin to be much easier to clean and just to take care of. So if you are going to use a bin, all you have to do is just put some holes in the top. I use scissors, but you can also use a drill. One of the most important things about feeders is their diet, because the better fed they are and the better taken care of, the better they are for your reptiles. For feeding your crickets, pet stores also sell cricket food, but the best and easiest thing to feed your crickets is the greens and veggies that you're going to be feeding your reptiles anyways. This is just the easiest thing to do because you already have them, and the better fed your crickets are and your other feeders, the better fed they will be for your reptiles. So here I'm just tearing up some collard greens. You can use any type of green you want. I've tried multiple different types of greens and they all work fine. And then I'm also giving them some carrots. Greens and carrots are the main meals that I usually feed them, but you can also feed them fruit like apples or other types of veggies like snap peas and green beans and stuff like that. And then what I like to do is just sprinkle the food everywhere. This way all the crickets have access to it, and that's just easiest. And now on to superworms. Superworms are super easy to take care of. So really all you're going to need is a container to put them in and some substrate. So the substrate I like to use, I use dry oatmeal, and then I combine that with the little grain that comes with the superworms from Petco, and a mixture of that is what I use. So anywhere from 2 to 5 inches of substrate is best. I have about 3 inches because superworms just like to dig, so the more substrate you have, the better. For housing, you're just going to need a little container, nothing like the size of the crickets. I just like to use this little critter keeper. You can find these at any pet store, and you can find them at Walmart for like $5. And all you're going to need is something that's ventilated and big enough for all of your substrate. For superworms, you can feed them the same thing as crickets. The main thing I feed them is whatever greens I have. Here I have collard greens and carrots. So the same thing as the crickets, and like I said, you can give them other veggies that you give your reptiles, like snap peas or green beans and stuff like that, and occasionally fruit. I like to give them apple. Here I'm just doing the same thing as I did for the crickets. I tore up some collard greens, and then I'm just adding some carrots. What I do with superworms is before I add them into their main container, I will put the food into the cup I bought them in, and this allows them all to get a chance to eat. And because if you put them in the big container, they might not all get to the food, so this way they can all get to the food. So after about 2 to 3 hours, I will leave them in there to eat, and after I do that, I will put them into the main container. Every few days, just add fresh veggies and greens to the top of the container, and that's it. That is pretty much it for this video. If you guys have any questions, feel free to comment down below. And thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next week.